Colin Anderson, you were a big hit when you appeared in the second Newcastle University Revue, The Third Degree. Can you tell us about your experiences with that review and the many others that followed?
Oh, complicated. I went the... how can I put this? I was a very sort of little Presbyterian boy who didn't know anything about review or whatever, and I remember going off one afternoon to... sorry, it's gone. I first got involved with Newcastle University players when I went to university. I can remember very clearly the day I went for an audition. I was at that time a very devout Presbyterian student, and I decided that I would, audition for this particular part anyway, despite the fact that I was a Presbyterian. And I went on one Sunday afternoon clutching under one arm, I clutched my Bible, and under the other arm was my concordance, to help me to lead the devotion ceremony that I was going to lead after I'd left rehearsal. Now, nobody knew me. I'd been working in the Newcastle City Abattoirs for 6 years, so nobody had any idea who I was. And I went into the rehearsal room and they gave me this script, and I always remember the moment. I don't remember how it led up to the moment, but I leapt on a table screaming, "I am Cardinal Lorenzo the Magnificent!" And the director at the time turned around and said, "Christ, who's that? Where did he come from?" And suddenly I found myself going from being a little Presbyterian boy to actually sort of getting involved with these wild, decadent people at Tighes Hill, where we had great fun writing the reviews and sending up all the locals and sending up the theatre critics, which was even more fun. We had such fun doing that. One of them actually got very cross with us, a guy called Matt Hayes. We did a centre with him. We mentioned that he wore what do they call it? Toupee. And he got furious, refused to mention our name for a few weeks in the paper. And so it all began, and I discovered review through all these clever people who had their own agendas. And the best thing was suddenly finding the gift, that I had this gift for satire. And for years then it went on, and lovely people like Marjorie Biggins came in and joined with us. David L. I can't remember all the names. And we used to rehearse 3 or 4 times a week, and we'd get up there and strut our stuff. And at first we did it to the Roxy in Hamilton, until I got Mr. Colin Chapman upset by telling him that his production of Carousel was the worst thing I'd ever seen in a million years. We had our downs as well. One year we didn't have enough material, so we stole a Victorian melodrama and presented that in the second half of the program. It was absolutely appalling, and we got very bad reviews for that. And then, then I left Newcastle and went away, as we all did. We had to go away and earn a quid. But I used to come back every year, more or less, and help with the reviews for about a year and a half, 2 years. Help with the material and the casting and whatever. It was great fun.
What highlights do you remember from those reviews?
Highlights? Oh my lord, highlights. There's so many of them. I remember one particular sketch. I always remember there was a lovely lass called Lee Alley, and she was not the type at all that wanted to be an actor. She was not at all, but she wanted to be involved in it, and so we got her involved. We sent her every time there was a break in a number. We would send her wandering through the audience, going, "Heathcliff, Heathcliff." And she'd grab somebody in the audience and say, "Are you Heathcliff?" "No, you're not Heathcliff," and throw the person aside, and then she'd disappear. And then, 20 minutes, half an hour would have gone by just to allow the audience to forget this had ever happened. And the next thing they knew was, "Heathcliff, Heathcliff." And she did this about 4 times, by which stage, of course, the audience was hysterical. Absolutely screaming hysterical, because they didn't know whether this woman was going to pop up and grab them and embrace them and say, "Heathcliff." That was one. I think the other one too, there was a sketch we did written for us by Cherry Grim Anderson, called 3 Lady Bowlers. We did this sketch, set on a bowling green, where I managed to upset no end a group of lady bowlers who said it was not fair to make fun of the poor lady bowlers. And of course everywhere we went up that everybody wanted us to do the Lady Bowlers sketch. It was three men in drag singing "We can all be seen on the bowling green in our uniform so neat and clean." You know, you get the idea. We were game enough to tackle some of the sacred cows. The Herald, the Newcastle Morning Herald it was then, what did they do that really upset me? They did something that upset me. I can't remember. But I know what it was. I got sick and tired of the fact that the sports people would always get 3 pages of things and what was happening and what would happen. And the performing arts people always get, a third of a paragraph down the bottom. And I got very upset about this. And I said, not only do they do that, they actually appoint people to review the theatre who don't know anything about theatre. Little did I know that our great supporter was Ian Healy, who was the guy whom I berated so soundly. So once again I got into trouble for doing that. But it was a marvellous time, and we went from being, I think, fairly rough, or no, very rough, until later on it became really quite sophisticated and clever. And that was when most of us had by this stage moved out of Newcastle, as I said earlier. But people would come along, especially 8+2. It was an incredibly sophisticated review. We spent a lot of money getting the men in tailored white suits and the women in tailored skirts, and we went for big glossy photographs, and things like that. And that raised a lot of money. In fact, it raised all the money that the help put the curtains and the backstage area in what is now the Union Theatre, I believe, in Ties Hill. That was certainly one of the highlights. Yeah, yes indeed. The Lady Bowlers, God love them. Where are they now?
Thank you very much. Thanks, Colin.